It's Maratha Confederacy Abridged Part 3, where last time we expanded our holdings on the British Isles, taking Scotland, and we also held on against various assaults to our cash cow territories in India, but we're now getting to the point when we don't need them. I've made London my capital, so when this happens and a massive army attacks one of our Indian territories, I was just like, nope, not going to bother defending. We might have won that battle if we manually resolved it, played it for an hour and waited for some glitches or something. But at this stage, we're just going to move away from the Indian part of the campaign because I'm trying to make this campaign a weird one where we don't do anything in India basically. And what we are going to do is make this move. The troops that took Scotland don't really need to be there for public order because they're quite happy with this new arrangement, so we can move on right away and go for Ireland as well. At some point, not sure when, maybe it was in the last part and I forgot, I also lost my capital here in India. So we now actually have no territory in India at all. What we do still have are 2 agents, and they're going to literally walk back. They'll probably die of old age before they actually get anywhere close to Britain, but I'm going to try that just for fun. Now then, after an uneventful end-turn sequence, we're able to carry on and walk here to Dublin, where it's just a stack of militia trash and some citizenry for us to overcome. My main goal is just to grab some cav and ram them into these militia units because their morale is low enough that just getting some casualties on them should get rid of them, and getting the rear attack as well should be enough. So here we slam on him, tank a few shots actually, wasn't charging at the best angle by the looks of things, but doesn't seem to matter. We're in there now, and now we can come in for the rear attacks as well. As mentioned previously, these lancers actually aren't very good. They'll do tons of casualties in their charge though, then they just won't do much after that. It's going to be enough with these low quality units, they will rout from this. Meanwhile, there was a bit of an actual battle going on over here. My lines of infantry got approached by the enemy's infantry, so I just charged out with my swordsmen to get this going, the good old fashioned way. And that's going to do the business because those militia will suck. Looks like we're absolutely eating musket volleys to the face here, but it's not doing enough to dissuade our troops. As long as we don't rout by the time we get into melee combat, then we should be okay because we'll be able to win that melee. Out here on the flank, there's a more messy version of the cav strat using some camels as well. Here we didn't get any particularly good charges, but we're only grinding through citizenry there, so they're super bad. We can defeat them even with shock cav. Looks like we've already won the centre, and over here on the right, everything's starting to die as well. So now we just wait for everything to rout to grab the technical win. Annoyingly, some things started coming back from routing. I brought the elephants over to our right flank to get involved with the fun here. That was all going very well, and it helps out with the routing because there is a morale debuff from being near elephants. However, then I used the elephants to charge into one of their units which was coming back from routing. I figured this would be fine, but actually our commander here on his elephant gets taken out in this melee, so that was surprising. Not good at all. Meaning that while we've absolutely annihilated the enemy in this battle, because the general's gone, the elephant unit will despawn after this battle. It's possible he'd been shot or something earlier, so his model in particular had no hit points left, so those random militia just killed them in melee. Nasty stuff, so yeah, a great result apart from that. And the important strategic outcome of this result is that Britain no longer has any territory in Europe. That eliminates them as a faction. We have done it. It also creates emergent factions from their territory. So the United States now exists. The 13 colonies just gets converted over. I thought maybe we could be their friend as the 2 anti-British factions out there, but maybe not by the looks of things. At least we can trade with them. That's a good start. Anyway, things are looking good for us. Phase 1 of the campaign is done. Now we just need to hold on to the British Isles for a bit, and that will mean taking down the British rebels that are constantly appearing, including this group right here. They've got a couple of actual units in this rebel group, so that's nasty, but it's not a very big army. We have the advantage from the beginning, just need to do it manually to get a good result. We get a nice lucky cannon shot at the start. Our first volley just annihilates some of the enemy's artillery up here, and even causes enough of a morale shock to push them away. So a really good start right there. Then all we need to do is start spreading the cav out over the map and come at the enemy from multiple directions. They had some infantry who charged down this hill into a unit of mine garrisoned in a wall. Seems the wall cancelled their charge in some way, so that was good. Elsewhere, we're just going to run into their infantry with the cav. Again, a lot of the infantry is not very good, so this is enough. But they do have some foot units, which are, I guess, basically line infantry, so they might be a bit more disciplined. Here, some of their foot way at the back have a great chance to kill me here. I was doing some very bad micro. The cav have walked up to the enemy without an attack order. But now we're going to benefit from the game's really janky firing mechanics. They can't shoot me until everyone in the unit isn't doing something else. So if some guy in the corner is stuck trying to climb over a wall or something, then everyone else just gets paralyzed. And as a result, when I finally give the order, they have not fired off a volley, and that goes okay in the end. Looks like we're starting to grab this one. Didn't even need this extra rear attack coming in to take out this foot unit. The elephants are in there as well, scaring the enemy off. And yeah, that's about it for this one. We slaughtered them from all sides, and that's the rebellion down. Or is it? They actually don't totally die. This is one of the annoying things, trying to work out how much damage you need to do in a battle to make the army go away on the campaign map. I'm not sure in this game what the rules are for it and whether you should always continue the battle or just end it at the soonest possible opportunity. In this case, I had to go on and take a disastrous auto-resolve result to finish them off again. But that's the military crackdown achieved. Now they're less likely to rebel. And here we are basically a couple of turns later. Just waited a few turns for public order to stabilise and got to the point when nothing's going to rebel. We've got these 3 territories locked down and we can start working on building things and actually spending our money to get the economy going. We're also going to want to set up for our next military move, and for that I'm going to start concentrating our forces down near London. You can see here we are a couple of turns later after I did that, because now all of our enemies are in mainland Europe, so I needed our troops down by the ports ready to sail out to attack targets. However, it seems they had the same idea. France appears here in Ireland after landing a stack and immediately attacking Dublin. So now that's a bit of trouble for us. Looks like this stack came from America. It's got a bunch of Native American troops in it. No point resisting here, so we're just going to let them win. So that's something we need to deal with. Now looks like the British Isles weren't as secure as I thought. I did actually get that alliance with America I was going for though, so that's nice. It's going to be me and the US against the world by the looks of things. So now I'm going to take all the forces I gathered at London and split them into 2 armies with a few troops left behind for public order. One army will go straight back up here towards Scotland to defend against France and set up for another attack on Ireland, and the other one's going to do the more interesting move, because while France are invading Ireland, we're going to invade France. This is a truly Sun Tzu style strategy. We're going to ignore their not especially important attack and just use their absence to make a really important attack against them. Luckily, we can make a 1-turn move to get to Paris from London, thanks to the fact we can use the ports to get rid of any movement point penalties from disembarking troops. So, here we are, we can run right at Paris. There's 1 unit standing outside, and I go to kill them. Turns out though there are some more units standing outside, so before the battle for Paris we need to convincingly win this little field battle. We do have a slight advantage, but the enemy also have some regular units that don't just rout if you run at them, and some elite units which certainly won't rout, and we might have to do something a bit more special against them. Basically just need to pick up a good win here so we can go on to fight that gigantic Paris garrison afterwards. This battle was defined by a mistake I made right at the start. I set up facing the middle of the map, thinking the enemy would be coming from the town in front of me, sent some cav out to kill their first unit, and then I was just going to await everything else. But for some reason I'd completely ignored the fact that the rest of their army are reinforcements coming on from the east, and in fact they come onto the map right next to where I am, but behind me. So actually this is pretty dangerous, and now I need to very quickly turn around. As it turns out, I don't turn around quickly enough, because the enemy are doing the wild general charge strat, normally a bad one, but here, where I was unprepared, it works pretty well. We can't shoot them, and they absolutely plow into our infantry, picking up tons of kills and blasting apart our formation. Now my cannons are shooting into this melee at close range. Looks like the cannons in the distance are taking out our nearer cannons with some friendly fire. That's perfect. And some more enemy cav arrived. They had a lancer unit that charged the infantry unit sitting up next door, and they also are going to pick up tons of kills. Nasty stuff, but now we can start to envelop them just because we have all of our stuff here and they've run out ahead of their other units. We even kill that general, so that's going to help out for the rest of the battle. Meaning we are going to clear this situation up but we definitely lost like a couple of hundred infantrymen to those charges. Nasty stuff. Back over here, that first unit that was on its own is going to get absolutely annihilated by 2 cav units and a third one that's just watching by the looks of things. Good micro. Then in comes the actual army. They're going to come in 1 unit at a time because they're reinforcement. That's handy. And you can see their morale is already kind of low. The combined debuffs of losing a general, being under small arms fire, and being under artillery fire all stack up. And units that only have like 4 or 5 morale only need like 4 or 5 bad things to happen for them to rout. And a unit being out on its own in open space is also considered a bad thing. So, altogether, that unit routs without fighting us at all, and that goes pretty well in the end. In go the cav to capitalise on that. There was another unit nearby, and all the cav basically go out in a massive wing and just plough through those guys, routing them quickly as well. So that's 2 down already. More infantry are coming along the centre, and for these guys I decided to send out the elephants for a charge. I thought this might just rout them, but actually the charge wasn't that good. Luckily I'm following it up with a lancer charge as well to do some more damage. And against these low quality units, that's enough to get rid of them. But after getting rid of all the low quality stuff, we have to start facing their better units. Their good units were at the end of their stack, so they're coming in now. We've got some sort of unique line infantry unit that's bravely charging the elephants, and here are the real deal, these Swiss guards. These are elite units, and they don't mess about, they just step in and immediately start shooting the lancers down. They were busy killing some cannons. Now I wanted to continue my momentum and just barrel through all of these elite units as well, thinking maybe they'll also rout after all the army losses and the fact they're being attacked from multiple sides. But that did not prove to be the case. I had 2 lancer units go up against the Swiss guards, and just like nothing happened. We killed like 5 men in each guard unit, whereas our lancers got cut down and lost like half their troops in the melees. So this was very nasty. Suddenly we're facing units with stats, and now it's too dangerous to do our usual melee meme tactics. Instead, I fell back and started firing at them, and we actually routed them again with the ranged morale debuff. The under small arms fire and under artillery fire stuff was enough to get rid of them. I was surprised by that, considering that these elite units also have high morale. You can't really see what things are affecting units in terms of morale, so something was happening that caused them to rout. Maybe the army losses is now kicking in. The other guard unit fights a tiny bit longer, but then goes after we flank attack them. With that, we avoided taking too much damage from their elite units, but I should have treated them a bit more carefully. We would have got away from this battle even more alive than we did. These results here are fake because results don't work for battle replays when there are reinforcements in this game. Here's the real result. Looks a lot better this time. Certainly could have gone better, but we're alive enough to carry on with the plan. That is to besiege Paris. There's this massive free-spawned garrison, but it's a massive garrison of things with low morale, so we have every hope of just getting rid of all of the units one by one to overcome the enemy's big numbers, but we can't do that right now. If we went for a fort attack, we'd probably be owned up. We're going to wait and see if they sally, and luckily enough they do sally without reinforcing or bringing over another full stack or something like that, which would be the worst case scenario. So it's a straight up battle against the garrison in the field. Just what we need, just the chance we need to chip away at these guys and get them to be weak enough that we can come back and then take Paris with an auto-resolve or something afterwards. I set up nice and far away from their mortars and wait to see what will happen. To start with, we're going to have a bit of a wait, because the enemy are doing this thing where they like to form up into a big line before they advance, but on fort maps, that line goes through the middle of the fort and this disrupts the process of creating the formation. So they're going to hang about for a while. That's fine by me because we can hit them with some cannons and grab a few early kills in the meantime. Plus they've got a distraction for us while this goes on. One of their 2 mortar crews decided to do the classic Empire Total War charge, so they run up, get shot a few times, and run back. That went pretty well. So obviously there are some rules, since the other crew didn't charge. There's some kind of decision-making process, not really sure what it is at this stage. A while later, all of the units on the enemy's left flank advance to attack us, but only those units, curiously. So we end up fighting a battle that's kind of even with the ranged units, but it's going to go our way because while the enemy come to start line battling with us, we swoop in with like 10 units of cav from behind them and get this going. and you can see stuff starts to rout right away because we're piling morale shocks on them. They've got under small arms fire, under artillery fire, outflanked, and the early casualties from the cav charge. And once you've got 4 or 5 things, they're out of there. So we actually completely annihilate this wing of the enemy army super fast, and as they rout, they're just going to be slaughtered obviously, since they're routing while in the middle of cav blobs. Handy stuff. The only downside to this is that by chasing them, we're bringing the cav into range of their other mortars, which as mentioned did not make the wild charge. So we do have to get shot a little bit, but I think it's worth it because we're annihilating like half of their units. There was an unrouted unit sitting back here nearer the fort. I'm just going to barrel right into them with all of these cav units, and all of their charge bonuses are being applied one after the other, so that unit takes enormous casualties super fast, and that routs them as well. Now the enemy army is half dead, we can chase the routers for a bit, then reform ready to face the next wing as it gradually shows up. Okay, this is like the 7th time I tried to record this. My microphone's breaking. Anyway, what happened next was 2 enemy units came over from their other group on the right wing to attack on their own, while everything else on that wing tried to switch to the left wing via the back of the fort. You can see them moving about on the minimap up there. So basically they just gave us some free kills, but here we see the effect of the charge bonus on the Lancers not applying. We killed the first unit in a couple of seconds, but that melee kind of continued on onto the second unit, so it didn't apply a charge. And here we just don't kill them at all, because as previously mentioned, these Lancers actually have trash melee stats, just really high charge bonus. In this case, we can help ourselves out a little bit, because this free unit can charge in and get a bit of damage right there. Plus we're only fighting militia, so we'll just kill them to some extent and probably grind our way through them with our sheer numbers, taking out that unit as well. After this, there's going to be a long delay because the stuff at the back of the fort has to pathfind around and form up, and then eventually it does come over to attack us, and we get something that's pretty similar to the first wave assault. They start line battling with us, but I immediately throw the cav in, and that's going to finish them off. In fact, it went a bit better than the first time because we see here units routing even before the cav arrive. We're just chain routing them off the field. Although also I didn't do this attack particularly well, because while one side of cav is coming in, the other side is just sitting there. Not sure why, could have ordered them to charge in and help, but I guess I just forgot or something. Anyway, by the end of all that, we've grabbed a big victory, killing thousands of enemies, a really good result for us. I was checking here the kills because I wondered if the guns had done very well. They were firing at stuff for the entire battle, and it was a long battle. But not really is the answer. They're super inaccurate, so it looks good when they hit, but they just rarely do. So after this, I figured we'd just auto-resolve Paris and take it, but then weird stuff started to happen. First, we have the United Provinces here trying to get a peace deal that is very bad, so we're not going to do that. But it seems they did get a deal with France, because all of a sudden the United Provinces owns Paris, and they bring over reinforcements to relieve our siege of it. Furthermore, they've actually got some new units inside the garrison somehow. It seems when it switched hands, some stuff spawned in here, so now there are more enemies inside, and basically we're back to where we were before that last battle. We just have to fight another big battle outside of Paris to try and deplete the garrison. Nasty stuff. Not sure what crazy deal was made there with France, but they've lost France in the deal, so they must have been rather desperate. For this fight, we're going to start off fighting lots of single file units. They're coming in one unit at a time, so that's going to help us out. These cav make a charge against our line. Luckily they actually shatter under the gunfire, so that's perfect. The other cav unit nearby tries to go around the flank, but we're protected by a bunch of buildings here which cancels their movement. Then I countercharge with some swords and almost countercharged with my lancers, but then stopped them at the last second because they were about to charge through my own men. But if you do want to see some friendly fire charge action, here's a good moment. It looked like this enemy charge was going to reach my gunners, so I charged through them myself from behind to stop the enemy's cav. And as you can see here, it does flatten your own side when you do this. It doesn't kill everybody it flattens, some of them get back up. So this might be better than being charged by the enemy, not quite sure, but basically the infantry aren't having a good day. I remember the last time I played Empire, I didn't really know about this and killed a lot of my own men before I noticed by zooming in that you can actually kill your own troops by running through them. Anyway, we repulse the current enemy attack. Then in comes some more cav. They're again going through the buildings area on our right flank. and you can see me kind of tucking the swords in, hoping the enemy's movement will get stuck on something like the earlier unit did, and then I could countercharge. But it didn't work at all actually. They got a clear run and charged right into the swords. That's going to do some big damage. Now I need to react. I started sending some cav and some elephants to help out over there, but more enemy cav are also being thrown into that fight. Looks like they were running across the face of our firing line, but not quite close enough for that to be deadly for them. So they get in there, and in the end we lose most of our swords to this melee. We do repulse the enemy though because of our elephants shooting into things. That seems to demoralise them a fair bit. Plus I can throw the lancers in as well. With them gone, it's now going to turn into something a bit more like a normal battle, because something like a formation is approaching us now with all of these line infantry. This little group's doing a bit of early skirmishing. That's not going to achieve too much. At the back of the map they had some cannons. I can easily spare a cav unit to go take them out, so I have done just that. Meanwhile, a line battle is now starting. We don't have much in the way of range strength, but neither do they in this battle, so happy to kind of stand around like this and just line battle, even using the elephant gunners as part of my line. A little bit risky there. In the meantime, the cav can go after some more isolated units like these guys over here. This was a very inefficient charge because all of my units are just barreling in one after the other, and sometimes this allows you to apply the charge bonus multiple times, but only really if like the first one or two units go all the way through the enemy. In this case, because they were quite thick, the first units are stopped, and that's going to cancel the charge of everything behind them. So, should have just charged from multiple sides there. Here's a better charge, a thin enemy formation that we can go right through, and that unit's just going to die instantly. Looks like the unit next to them routed just due to the gunfire from the line battling. Since we did heavily outnumber them, I guess that's to be expected. Other units are still on the field though. They're in a weird formation because some of them were walking backwards to attack this unit of cav at the back, the ones who took out the enemy cannons. I used them to countercharge a damaged enemy unit that was coming after them, but it wasn't powerful enough to knock them out, and then after that our cav were in trouble because they're not that good in the melee, as I said. Over here, something better. Here's an example of multiple charge bonuses applied from the same direction as we just go through that enemy unit, and here's an example of charge bonuses not really working at all. This enemy unit rotates as I'm attacking them, and it kind of looks like our charge goes towards where they were going to be before rotating. Then the charge just stops and we don't apply the bonus at all. Nasty. At least we do take out their general nearby, and that's going to win this battle for us because basically the whole army's dead. So that general loss is enough to knock out the units that were in those not all that unfavourable melees. And here we have this result. Once again, we have won the battle for Paris. Our army's getting more and more beaten up, but it's still going strong. After this I just quick saved because I didn't trust an auto-resolve of the survivors in the forts. Luckily, it wasn't too bad, so I'm going to take that result and take Paris as a result. This would normally knock France out, but of course they've taken Ireland off us now, so France are still going to be in the game, although we will be looking to remedy that in the next part. And also, most likely, holding Paris, holding France, is going to be difficult. Again, because it's a capital region, it's going to rebel all over the place. Just meaning I'm going to have to leave this army here for a while, so this will be our new front line in Europe for a bit. Join me next time to see what Europe's going to throw at us in response.